Hi, it's River here at Rainbow Ridge. Not actually on site. It's a little cold there. We don't have any heat, and just going to be doing some explaining to you guys why we chose property in Hawkins Corner, and about the history of the property, and why we chose to reclaim it, and what our intentions are with the property. We'll get on to some series of photos. Most of these photos were taken during the summer, so it's not doesn't really show what the property looks like now with about 4 feet of snow. So the history of the property. There's a few neighbors around in the community who we've kind of bumped into and have heard little bits and pieces here and there about the property itself and the history. So the property itself is at 55 Route 585 in Hawkins Corner, pretty much right on the corner. And it's about, I'd say, 2 minutes to Millville, like a total of maybe 2 kilometers into the little village of Millville. There's a gas station, a post office, a little fire hall, a cute little spot. The kids would be able to bike or walk there during the summer. So it's still nice to be close to a community. The history of the house, I'm not sure whether at the time Millville had been established at all. However, the family who purchased the land and built the home came from St. John on foot. So they had with them whatever they could carry and their cow. Perhaps they pulled some kind of a wagon with the cow. I'm not sure, but that sounds pretty intense, is walking from St. John. So they walked from St. John, and they found this little piece of property, and they decided to build their homestead on the property, and their last names were Hawkins, and thus I would assume that is why the property is called Hawkins Corner. I find that quite fascinating, that this house could have been, or very well has been, the very first settlement home in that area. Having this home, this particular home, because it is a settlement home, is keeping that part of that history alive. Keeping that little bit of heritage alive is important. And another part of the reason why we chose this property was it was in an abandoned state. About 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there had been a fire inside of the home, a flue fire, and much of the home had been gutted. All the old lath and plaster upstairs removed, and insulation removed, and exposing much of the wiring. So the wiring was replaced in most of the home, and it was just kind of left as almost like a skeleton for us to start over, and we can kind of design, we can create from there. Going into a home that is completely finished is not something that I would enjoy, because I very much enjoy part of the design aspect and creating exactly what it is that is in our vision. And speaking of the vision, is that we see this land as a great opportunity. Not only is it the home itself is pier and beam construction, pier and beam foundation construction. So down in the basement, there's these piers that hold the beams up, and I would say about 40% of those piers in the back southeast corner of the home are cemented directly into ledge rock. Not only is the home located directly onto a ridge, but in behind there's a gradual, quite a nice hill, not quite a mountain, but a nice big hill behind the house that is part of the Appalachian Range. I grew up at the foot of a mountain, Moose Mountain, not far from here. And so being in the foothills of the Appalachian Range, right on a rock, it just makes me feel very at home, very nostalgic, and makes me feel like this is my place. On the property itself, there's springs that kind of come up here and there. Some that are back up on top of the hill. We located this winter open flowing water during the winter months at the rear of the property, and closer to the property, closer to the home, there's springs that are open, and you can see them quite easily and access them quite easily in the summer. There's well dog sewage, that's all taken care of. And there's an old well house, the original well house, which is probably 100 yards in behind the house, is still there. And it's located in a great place that there's the well house, and then in behind the well house is a bit of another ridge, and there's a lot of large rocks exposed. And there's also a clay deposit at the bottom of the ridge. The water comes down off the spring over the rocks. And we also have intentions to go completely off-grid. We've just discovered that the possibility of us having mostly hydropower is quite plausible. And it's something that we plan on investing our time and energy into. First and foremost is to get some hydropower running through the house, because it's absolutely free. The equipment to get it set up is minimal, and so we're going to start there. Part of the planning process is for the home is that the way that we're planning on walls and petitions and so on is going to encourage and take the most benefit from a passive solar approach to the house. So there's on the south side, east and south side, morning sun helps to warm things quite quickly. In the evening, you're kind of losing heat from then on. So we want to warm up the house for first thing in the morning. So I'm going to incorporate more windows on the east side as well as the south side, and a greenhouse on the south side of the house. We're going to have some thermal mass. Black cob on the walls would help to retain some of our heat. In and around the fireplace, we're gonna have a nice heavy, I'm hoping on stone and mortar platform for there. And so that's kind of the plans as it stands. Once we get a hydro generating the house, then we will also invest in solar. And the first winter or two that we're in the home, we will be on grid, and until we can get our hydro established and solar established. So those are some of our basic ideas about what we plan on doing with the land.